This better be the place.
This is it. Trust me.
Let's walk through a spider web or something.
I got firewood, so we're good.
All right.
Anybody got any scary stories?
Yeah, I could go for a scary story.
Hey guys, how about we talk about our top 10 scariest moments in gaming?
Yeah! Yeah.
All right, so on behalf of the Little Jolly Gamer Show, this is our top 10 scariest moments in gaming. Just a quick disclaimer before we start the list. I realize that there's 10 entries and there's 3 of us, so we decided to do 3 entries each and we all decided on number 1. All of these entries are things that resonated with us personally, and we tried not to be too cliche with it, but some of it can't be helped. Without further ado, here's the list.
To start off this list at number 10, it's from a game that you would not expect.
So here we are, Mario 64, Boo's Big Haunt. Obviously this level's scary. There's trapdoors, there's booze, the music's creepy, there's a freaking carousel or something downstairs. I don't even know what it is, but it's creepy. Scariest moment, right here. We walk into this thing, it looks like a performance hall. Nothing out of the ordinary, there's a red coin, and hey, we need 8 of those to get a star. Well, you walk up to, well, there's a piano right here. That's a pretty realistic looking piano, considering that this is back in the 64 days. So you go up to the red coin, but then the piano starts freaking grows these teeth and just starts going. Yeah, and you just die. You have a heart attack. You don't know what to do.
Okay, before you grab your torches and pitchforks and scream cliche, hear me out. Resident Evil is probably the granddaddy of the video game horror franchise. Heck, they coined the phrase survival horror. So it's no surprise that this moment is the OG of jump scares in video games.
As a kid growing up on the Atari, the NES, and SNES, I hadn't really experienced many spooky or scary games. Sure, there are games like Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Doom, but nothing like Resident Evil. So it's late, and the parents are in bed, and it's time to pop in Resident Evil for the first time on the PlayStation. Now keep in mind, there wasn't much of an internet at the time, so you went into a game with pretty much zero knowledge. And as most of you know, the first part of Resident Evil, the Spencer Mansion, really isn't that scary. Sure, you have a couple of run-ins with zombies, but most of the rooms are big, and the music is kind of subtle. But after a while of fumbling around through rooms collecting stuff, you finally come across the L-shaped hallway. I move a counter against the wall, there's a clip, and as the camera shifts, I'm not really thinking too much other than discovering and picking stuff up, and then suddenly crash! Zombie Dobermans crashed through the window. I screamed out loud, and for the first time and only times I threw my controller. I woke my parents up, who quickly told me if I couldn't handle my game, then I should turn it off. And it was the first time in my gaming life that I experienced true fear, and even contemplated continuing from that point. Of course I did, not knowing that it only got worse from there.
Once you hear that noise, you already know what's around the corner. Late in Resident Evil 4's campaign, you come across an experimental abomination, the Regenerator. This naked, pale, clammy-looking, sharp-toothed, gray-skinned, nearly invulnerable humanoid creature is the scariest part of Resident Evil 4. You always seem to fight these guys in claustrophobic environments where their slow walking speed is just enough to stress you out. The best way to kill these guys is to use an infrared scope and shoot the very specific weak spots on their body. You wouldn't know where they are otherwise. Even later in the game, there's a version of the Regenerator that's even creepier called the Iron Maiden that has giant spikes all over its body. Seeing these things walking down a dark corridor towards me when I have hardly any ammo to defend myself will haunt my dreams forever.
Now once again, this pick's not exactly from the horror genre. Ocarina of Time is known for its dark moments. For example, there's the Shadow Temple that's dedicated to Hyrule's bloody history, and you go through frickin' graves. This one, however, stands out above the rest.
Now in this particular moment, This is deep inside of the well. Now you pass by this well multiple times in Ocarina of Time. You don't think anything of it, but then when you go back as a kid after learning the Song of Storms, you drain the well, you go down there and you realize it's a freaking dungeon. And it's a scary dungeon. They got re-deads, creepy music, all kinds of stuff, trap doors, acid pools. You don't even know what to do. That's not the worst part. No. So when you finish all that, and you think you're done with this place, you drain the water again inside the well, you go down this little corridor, and then you open this door, and it locks behind you. But there's these weird looking things sticking out of the ground. So you don't know what's going on. You go up to one of these statues, and then it grabs you! And then this hideous freaking monster with this giant chin that just extends like it's like a freaking undead twisted version of the Crimson Chin from Fairly Odd Parents, and it's like, ah! No! That's the dead hand, ladies and gentlemen. That thing is scary.
So Until Dawn is one of those games that a lot of times flies under everyone's radar when it comes to video game horror ranking lists. I mean, there's tons of moments in that game that could warrant a spot on anyone's list. And there's one scene that it comes back to my mind every time that takes that intensity and ramps it up to 11.
So spoiler alert, as you play Until Dawn, you realize the real bad guy, or gal, that you need to worry about is the Wendigo. Now they do have a weakness, and that weakness is that they can see movement, making you invisible if you're still. In the final scene, Sam will literally come face to face with the Alpha and must not move to escape. And the devs of Until Dawn will help you play this out beautifully by prompting you not to move your controller, and I mean it all. To add to it, the Alpha Wendigo screams in your face in an attempt to make you flinch, and to me that's one of the most intense moments in gaming. This happened multiple times, and each time I failed, I had to watch poor Hayden Panettiere get murdered gruesomely over and over, like a horrible version of Groundhog Day. It was so intense that I had to finally force my controller into the cushion of my chair to stop from moving and beat that game. To this day, watching that scene on YouTube makes me flinch, and that's why Until Dawn's final scene makes my list.
As a kid, Dennis the Menace on Super Nintendo was one of those games that was always just kind of laying around. It wasn't like this AAA game like Super Mario World or Star Fox or Zelda, but there's one thing in this game that haunts my soul to this very day. So you're exploring the first level of this game, Mr. Wilson's house. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Hopping cats, bowling balls rolling around, dancing dishes, and all kinds of inanimate objects moving around that can harm you. So avoiding all of that, you have to find all the big coins in the house to move on to the next level. So you search the house from the basement to the top floor, and on the top floor, little do you know, there's a terrible, unstoppable force waiting for you. He comes out of nowhere almost. Mr. Wilson. He can't be stopped, and he moves incredibly fast once he gets near you. That creepy Walter Matthau face doesn't help either.
This one is from the horror genre, Resident Evil. Resident Evil is known for its horror. In fact, we've already had Resident Evil on this list. But Resident Evil 7 brings it to a whole new perspective, literally, in virtual reality. VR puts you in the game. Now, it was so difficult for me to find the particular moment that I wanted to be the scariest moment for this game, but I think I got it. It was a dark and stormy Louisiana night down at the baker's residence. Ethan was looking for his wife, Mia. We found her. She was locked up in this place. What's she doing here? Well, we're gonna go look around the house and find out what's going on. So we go up the stairs. We go around the hall, we start looking up, then the phone rings. Phone rings, we pick up the phone. I don't know who this is. Who is this? But then the door that we just came out of opens up. What's going on? So we go to get Mia to let her know what's going on. But it's dark. You start walking down the stairs. And then you see her crawling like, what? Mia, what's going on? And then it goes black. And then she's in your face. She's in your face and she's just like... And you just don't know what to do, and you're panicked, and especially because it's freaking VR, she is literally in your face. I'm not just talking about face up on a screen. No, she is in your face. She's just... And you're like... What did I do? I mean, golly, we were married. We didn't get a divorce. We didn't get in a fight. Why are you mad at me? What's going on? I thought you loved me. What's going on? You're trying to kill me now. And that's that.
So Dead Space is kind of the younger horror video game, but as far as a franchise is concerned, it's spawned tons of media like mobile games, comics, animated movies. It's a beloved franchise by thousands of people. But when Visceral, R.I.P., decided to take Dead Space 3 and make it into a co-op horror game, a lot of people were skeptical. You see, co-op kind of takes out the immersion, that helplessness that you feel when you're by yourself in a single-player, narrative-driven game. But Dead Space 3 ran with it, and they made, to date, I feel like, one of the most terrifying video game co-op experiences out there. And there's particularly a moment there that really gets in your brain.
In Dead Space 3, you can choose to play as everyone's favorite space engineer with issues, Isaac Clarke. Or if you'd like, you can have a friend join as a new character in the series, Sergeant John Carter. Now, I played this with Brandon, and he played Isaac Clarke, and as me, in the second player position, I played John Carver. We just picked at random, but it was a choice that made our experience with this moment so great. Throughout the game, we had fun playing side by side, fighting off necromorphs and leveling up, upgrading weapons, etc. And there were some mildly scary moments, but nothing like what Chapter 14 had in store. In this chapter, we find out that my character Carver has some baggage, and I start seeing things that Brandon couldn't see, like toy soldiers, birthday presents, etc. All things that should not be in a dark space corridor. We were confused, and I remember even using my gun to point to a toy soldier in the corner of the room going, "Look, man, right here!"
And I was playing as Isaac Clarke, so I didn't see any of this stuff.
And it wasn't until my character had a psychotic breakdown that the game ramped up the co-op. The breakdown would send me into another level inside my mind, fighting off waves of shadow creatures and facing Carver's demons. But on Brandon's end, he was tasked with keeping me safe from the necromorphs as I was frozen in place until I could break out of the hallucination. But what made this moment near perfect is I'd played Dead Space 1, but not 2. Brandon, however, had played Dead Space 2, and he had went through the same experience with Isaac in that game. So it wasn't until after my character came to and I explained to Brandon what I saw that he understood what was going on. And it was like we were the characters ourselves. It was confusing, it was uncertain. Brandon was frantically tasked with fighting off waves of necromorphs, not knowing what he could do to bring his friend back, and I was stuck in the shadow realm of Carver's mind, which was terrifying in itself. This fear bond in a co-op horror game has stuck with us for years now, and since then I've yet to see it duplicated or done better.
So did you find what you're looking for? You know, a while back you asked me if I knew why I was doing this, why I came to this stupid planet. And? There's a price for what I've done, Isaac. And I'm gonna see that it gets paid.
The title of this game says it all. Alien Isolation. You're alone, somewhat defenseless, and in space, no one can hear you scream. Once the xenomorph is revealed to be on the same space station you are, you realize quickly that the alien isn't stuck in the game with you, you're stuck in the game with it. What makes the xenomorph so terrifying is that the AI is written so well and uniquely that it always seems to be at the wrong place at the right time. There are other enemy types in this game that can be easily defeated, but not the xenomorph. You'll have to make clever use of traps, distractions, and hiding spots to sneak past the xenomorph, who always seems to be between you and your objective. Just the way it's animated and prowls around is so unsettling, which makes every encounter with it that much more terrifying. I think we can all agree what the #1 scariest moment in gaming is. PT! All of it! So, to accurately explain the horror of PT, let me tell you a story. When PT, which is short for Playable Teaser, came out on the PlayStation Network, it just kind of showed up. No one even knew what it was. All we saw was this picture of a forest with the letters PT on it. My brother and our girlfriends, now wives, all huddled on the couch and experienced true terror and fear of the unknown. We were quickly unsettled that we kept entering and exiting the same hallway over and over again, not to mention the photorealistic presentation of the game is horrifying. But it's when we rounded the same familiar corner and saw a towering apparition that we realized that we were in for a frightening experience. The fetus in the sink, the bloody fridge hanging from chains, and the radio that seemingly speaks directly to you are all scary, but it's Lisa, constantly stalking you from directly in front of you, behind you, and above you, that will forever haunt my soul. Just hearing the sounds alone at night gives me anxiety. We would later find out, upon completing the playable teaser, that this was a teaser for a familiar franchise, Silent Hill. Unfortunately, we'll never get that game because of the whole Konami thing, which is a dang shame because that game terrifies me.
His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom.
Thanks so much for watching our top 10 scariest moments in gaming. This is kind of our Halloween special. If you want to see content similar to this, please like, comment, and subscribe. We put out stuff on a regular basis. And tell us about your scariest moment in gaming. We want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments section below. Have a happy Halloween, and we'll see you on the next episode.